In this video, we'll see how to solve multi-step equations and inequalities. So just some things to remember when we have multi-step equations and inequalities. Whatever you do to one side of the equation, you always do to the other side. And then remember, when we multiply or divide both sides of an inequality by a negative number, that sign's going to flip. So let's see a few examples here. I have m over 8 plus 3 equals 11. The first thing I want to do is I want to zero out that constant. That constant, I'm adding 3 to m over 8. So to zero it out, I am going to subtract 3. But what I do to one side, I want to do the same thing to the other side of the equal sign. I have m divided by 8 equals 8 now. And then to get the variable all by itself, since I'm dividing m by 8, I'm going to multiply by 8. But again, doing the same thing to both sides. 8 times m over 8 is just m. 8 times 8, that is 64. And we could check this. 64 over 8 plus 3. 64 over 8 is 8 plus 3, that's 11. It checks out. And now let's look at this inequality. And one of the things I'm going to notice first in this problem is I see this negative sign right here. And that's going to be my clue that I am going to flip the sign. But again, I'm going to start this problem the same way I started the other problem. I'm going to zero out this constant. It's negative 6a minus 7. I want to zero out this constant of subtracting 7. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to add 7. But if I add 7 to the left of the inequality, I better add 7 to the right. So I get negative 6a is less than or equal to 24. I'm multiplying a by negative 6, so to undo that, I want to divide by negative 6. Well, negative 6a over negative 6, that's just a. 24 divided by negative 6, that's negative 4. I divided both sides by a negative number, so I have to remember to flip my sign. This less than or equal to sign becomes greater than or equal to. And then I'm not done. I need to graph my inequality. A is greater than or equal to negative 4. Here's my boundary at negative 4. It's greater than or equal to, which means I need to fill in my circle because it could be negative 4. What numbers are bigger than negative 4? Everything over here. All right, let's take a look at this type of equation. I have 17 equals 2n minus 6, all of that divided by 4. Since that whole expression is being divided by 4, I want to multiply this whole side by 4. But if I multiply the right side by 4, I better multiply the left side by 4. 4 times 17, that's 68. 2n minus 6 divided by 4 times 4, these 4's are going to cancel each other out. That just leaves me with 2n minus 6, and now this equation is much easier to solve. I would add 6 to both sides. 68 plus 6, that is going to get me 74. 74 is equal to 2 times n. To get n by itself, I'm going to divide by 2. 74 divided by 2, that is 37. So n is equal to 37. And then finally, this could look pretty complicated, right? I see all of this parentheses here, and it looks like I'm going to have to distribute, combine like terms. But if we just take it a step at a time, simplify the right side of the inequality here first, you'll see it becomes pretty simple to do. So first things first, I'm going to distribute this 2. Remember to multiply both of those terms by 2. So I get 15 is less than or equal to 2 times 4m is 8m plus 2 times 7 is 14 plus 5. Don't forget that 5 there. Then I am going to combine my like terms to make this simpler to look at. 15 is less than or equal to 8n plus 19. Now look at that. It is so much easier to work with now. I am going to zero out the constant just like I've been doing. I'm going to subtract 19. Again, I'm always zeroing out the constant that's on the same side as the variable. 15 minus 19, that's negative 4. That's less than or equal to 8n. I'm multiplying n times 8, so I'm going to divide by 8 in order to get the n by itself. Now notice, even though this 4 is negative, the 8 that I'm dividing both sides by is positive, so I do not need to change the sign. However, that is going to be a negative 1/2 because negative 4 over 8 is negative 1/2. That's what's equal to n. Now I have to graph this. I'm going to mark my boundary, negative 1/2. Negative 1/2 is less than or equal to n. Fill in the circle. Negative 1/2 is less than what numbers? Well, negative 1/2 is less than numbers like 0 and 10 and all the numbers that are over here. Okay, here are a few for you to try on your own. 23 equals 2x plus 3 plus 3x. I'm going to combine those like terms here. So I get 23 is equal to 5x plus 3. And now I want to zero out the constant that's on the side with the variable. So I was adding 3 to 5x. I'm going to subtract 3 on both sides. I get 20 is equal to 5 times x. To get the x by itself, I need to divide both sides by 5. 20 over 5 is 4, so x is equal to 4. A was the right choice. Okay, 228 is greater than 3 times the quantity 4 minus 8b. I'm going to distribute first. 228 is greater than 3 times 4 is 12 minus 3 times 8b, that's 24b. I am going to subtract 12 on both sides of that inequality. And now I get 228 minus 12, that's 216. And that is going to be greater than, just greater than, negative 24b. All right, so I'm going to divide both sides by this negative 24. And I'm dividing by a negative, so I need to remember to switch the signs. 216 divided by negative 24, that's negative 9. I'm going to change the greater than sign to a less than sign. Negative 9 is less than b. So which of these graphs shows me that negative 9 is less than b? That's going to be C here. And there's the graph for it. Negative 9 is less than b is the same thing as saying b is greater than negative 9. All right, last one here. Solve this equation. First things first, I'm going to distribute. I got to distribute twice. Remember, there's a negative 1 that I'm distributing here and a positive 8 to distribute here. So I get 49 equals negative a minus 1 plus 8a plus 8. Now I want to combine my like terms. Well, I've got negative a plus 8a. That gives me 7a. And then negative 1 plus 8, that gives me positive 7. Look, you had that big, long equation, and just by distributing and combining like terms, now it's just a two-step equation. I've got to isolate my variable by getting rid of the constant that's on the same side of the variable. So I'm going to subtract 7 on both sides. 42 equals 7a. I'm multiplying a by 7. So to get a by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 7. 6 is equal to a. Choice A is the right one. And that's how we solve and graph multi-step equations and inequalities.